how can I just like sleep better now? Cause that was like what my goal was. So,
Mhm.
so really, yeah, it was a mixture of like insomnia. Well, it was insomnia to an extent. I mean, I would call it that. I just, trouble falling asleep. And then once I was asleep, kind of like sleeping really, really lightly so that when I would wake up in the morning, I felt like I almost hadn't really slept. Like I had just been
Mhm.
kind of like laying there lightly sleeping. Um, and then, I tried every over the count, like, all the things that they tell you, like melatonin and herbal supplements. And there's like some ZQL type meds that are like, actual medication. But yeah, and so those things would work. Oh, and I also tried weed. Obviously, I've mentioned that in other times, and that helped, and everything would help for a specific period of time. And then it's like you do build a tolerance, or you do start to
Mhm.
like not want to do that every single night. You get so reliant on it, and I'm like, well, what if I can't? What if I don't have that tonight? Like,
Mhm.
what if we go camping and I like don't have, or we go on a trip, or like I don't have access to one of these things that I'm using, and
Mhm.
that created anxiety. So it was just like a whole downward thing. And it was really like and I've talked about this in other Cup of Joy episodes, but when I got on anxiety medication that had nothing to do with it wasn't a sleeping pill of any kind. It was true anxiety medication. I mean, it was an antidepressant, but it was for
Mhm.
treating anxiety. That was when I started being able to sleep without having to take anything for sleep. And that's when it was clear, even though people have been telling me that, or even just like me being a clinician, I knew that it was like anxiety. That was like, okay, so it's really anxiety. It's not like you have this, you know, natural lack of something, which I do think in a very small group of people that is possible, that there is a physical inability to sleep, and whether you need a supplement or something, magnesium, that kind of thing. But I think for most of us, it really truly is anxiety or some
Stress. Mhm.
underlying
Other stuff.
emotional
Mhm.
struggle that is
Mhm.
causing the sleep. And I will say that again, if you need to hear it again, it is probably
Mhm.
almost 99% an emotional struggle underlying your sleep issues. And as hard as that is, because that's not an easy fix, any sleeping pill that you've taken, anything that you've tried at night to sleep that works, it is just a band-aid. It is not
Yeah.
fixing the actual problem. And
Yeah.
you can do that for as long as you want, but do you really want to spend the rest of your life taking Ambien? That's the
Mhm.
question. Do you really want to be taking a sleeping pill the rest of your life when you don't have to? And then, you might not realize, but throughout the day, you are feeling that too. Like you are feeling the effects. I would tell myself I'm fine during the day, and it's just at
Mhm.
night that I have these problems, but you might not even realize how it's affecting you during the day as well. So that's my thing. I mean, we can talk more about
Well, I
what
think the thing that stands out to me, as we're talking really is the importance of finding out the why
Mhm.
behind your struggles, your sleep struggles. And I think you have to be, to your point, willing to be honest with yourself, or be willing to explore all the possibilities as to the why. Because some of this, as we've talked about on other episodes, it's like oftentimes we want to get better in whatever way, but we're really not interested in
Yeah.
having
Mhm.
to admit to some weakness